Queen Quet, political and spiritual leader of the Gullah Geechee Nation that extends from coastal North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida. Queen Quet and the Gullah Geechee Sea Island Coalition she founded are actively engaged in battling environmental racism and climate change. As a cultural leader of an indigenous community, she works to preserve her people's heritage in their land and their struggle for justice. American Rivers has been working with her to protect flows of rivers like the Edisto, a 2014 and 2015 most endangered river, that feed the estuaries of South Carolina's Sea Islands, where many of the Gullah Geechee people live. Through the Gullah Geechee's Saving Environment Actions, SEA, and marine ecology projects, she has engaged hundreds of people in Gullah Geechee traditional fishing methods and behaviors that reduce the negative impact on the local waterways. Queen Quet has won countless awards for being a woman of distinction, for her scholarship, writing, artistic presentation, activism, cultural continuation, and environmental preservation. She has spoken before the United Nations, the U.S. Department of State, a number of legislative bodies in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Florida. She was an expert commissioner in the U.S. Department of the Interior and a participant in the White House Conference on Conservation. We owe her a special thanks for being with us this evening. We are honored to have you with us, and we look forward to your presentation. Thank you very much.
This just goes so long, crying, Lord, Lord, give we more time for Christ. I've been in this just goes so long. Oh, this your honey time. Oh, this your honey time. Crying, Lord, Lord, give we more time for I've been in this your storm so long. Good evening. Good evening. I want to tell them to do y'all. We're going to kind of think that she'll tell me yet and then can't go get these all on. I want to do. You leave me on stand. Tell me anything like that. So I mean, you know what? You're different from anything like that. Tell us all that. Under the city people. Mainlander? Okay. Mainland, okay, that way though. So that way I want to tell them to give me like a crack anything like that. Okay, so if I do this is better for you? Alright. There's enough rain pouring, no wonder the storm came. Alright. Do I have a bunch of Yankees there or something? How y'all? A few understood that part. So how's everyone this evening? You good? Yes. Other than you bringing this rain here to prove a point that the river can come on land? Is that what y'all prayed for? I'm very pleased to have an opportunity to be here with you this evening, and not rudely, but importantly, I'll be leaving you shortly after I speak because I live about 40 to 45 minutes from here, and I have to cross several bridges and do not want to be on them in this. So I was really trying to actually get to speak when I first walked in, but y'all were milling around, so they said wait a little while and trying to clear you out and calm you down. They didn't know I get you riled up again. I throw them down like this and thing like that. They didn't know I get started. But it is a blessing to be with people who are focused on the rivers. Because my ancestors, we believe the water bring me up, the water going to take me back. We live along these rivers, these estuaries, these marshways, the ocean. A lot of people often say to me, well, I've never heard of Gullah Geechee culture. I've never heard of the Sea Islands. There are no islands in South Carolina. People in upcountry South Carolina will say that. There are no islands in Georgia. And what are y'all talking about? You mean you're from the Caribbean? No, I mean I live in the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of the Carolinas. And the rest of my people are there off the coast of Georgia and Florida. From Jacksonville, North Carolina to Jacksonville, Florida, there are islands called the Sea Islands that are called the Barrier Islands that many people don't realize that they're called that because we truly are the barrier between the mainland and these storms. And they don't realize just how many storms Gullah Geechee people have weathered from the 1600s up to now. When many of my ancestors worked this very soil you all are on right now, literally on right now, tonight. Many people don't realize that when they put on their clothing every day, that they should stop and they should think about these sea islands because of sea island cotton. And it having been one of the top cash crops that not only built the infrastructure of this area and this region, but of the U.S., along with rice, which I was very upset when they just got to telling me they couldn't put no rice on a plate for me, but y'all got the nerve to be in Beaufort County talking about you eating dinner. we know y'all don't know Gullah Geechee culture. We're going to help you out next time. Always have rice for the visitors when they come to the Gullah Geechee Nation. And so Carolina gold rice in particular was the special rice that grew here, and indigo. And so when I got ready to get dressed to come up here, I knew that I was to don myself in some indigo. I knew that I was to bring with me the energy that you see on our Gullah Geechee national flag. The blue is for the waterways, but it's also for the indigo. The green is for the land itself. And the gold is because we were called black gold, even as we worked in the Carolina gold. Black cargo, black gold was what my people were called. And you'll see in the center of our flag a tree, which is actually human bodies intertwined, representing the Igbo, Mandinka, Malinke, Yoruba, Gola, Gizi, Mendi, Temi, Ifi, Ibibio, Yamasi, Adisto, Cree, Kusabo, who are all part of our literal bloodline. And as I often tell people, the land here and the waters here are important to myself personally and to my people because the land for us is family and the waterways are our bloodline. So that's why when I do the work that I do it so that I can pay homage to my ancestors, and including my father, who was a river man. His father was one. His father's father was one. His father's father's was one. They all built shrimp boats, battle boats, and things like that by hand. They rowed out into these waterways. They would bring back in the shrimp and thing we now call. I know if the guy on the children now call seafood or what is seafood. But so they bring in shrimp, they bring in crabs, they bring in oysters. So when people started telling me that crab is hard to find, I said, where? Then I started reading reports about the blue crabs and there being complications with getting them. People started saying, well, Queen, we can't go you in there getting the oyster. I said, all the people running out of now for an oyster, you ain't going in the right place, ain't it? They said, they closed the beds. Why would they close the beds? They said, because there's pollutants in certain areas and you can't pick from there. Are you kidding me? Then I go to North Carolina to visit my folks, and they can go and they can still dig clams in some areas, and then they say, well, we can't go over there and dig. And then people started saying in our fish, the catfish we used to eat, we can't get them in Beaufort County anymore. I go to Edisto, they say, come get all you want, because somehow they're up here now. But I said, well, what happened where we are? And so I started talking to people like U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and they said, well, Queen, we don't understand. I said, yeah, they're endangered where we are. They're like, they're not on our endangered list. I said, well, why not? They should be, because we can't catch catfish where I live, and people store and catch catfish. He said, because in the Edison River, we have an overabundance of them. I said, well, then we need to replenish our waters around here. We need to find out what's going on. They said, well, maybe the salinity in the water has changed, so maybe we need to study that. I said, well, I'd love to. But the salinity in the air is what made the difference between Sea Island cotton being grown here and not being grown in the deep south. The salinity in the water is what you don't want when you grow Carolina gold rice. You want fresh water. But when we want catfish, we ain't care what kind of water they out. We want them to be right here. We don't want to have to hunt them. We want them here. So we started realizing there were a lot of things that I grew up with, my family grew up with, that people felt would be here forever. And we reached a point where we could say, it's not anymore. And even last month, which was Middle Passage Month here in the Gullah Geechee Nation, I went out to visit part of the Gullah Geechee diaspora, which lives in Brackettville, Texas, right on the border of Mexico. And some Gullah Geechees live in Mexico called Moscovo. And I crossed bridges that were named such and such Creek Bridge. And as we crossed, I looked down and there was no water. I'm like, what kind of foolishness? Who names it and put a bridge someplace and there ain't no water under it? We go a few more miles, such and such Creek Bridge again. I said, okay, we're going to see some water this time. I'm an island girl, I need water. We look, no water. We're crossing a bridge. We did this 3 or 4 times in a 2-hour ride. And I said, well, wait a minute. This is something I get to physically see that I wish I could be like Bewitched and twink my nose and drop Gullah Geechees over here with me right now. So that they realize the same way the fish and the oysters and the shrimp that we used to be able to just go and barge your way out, and the crabs, and you could catch them on the line, and you could just do this and put shrimp up on the ground and pick them up and put them in a bucket and go back and feed your family, and that disappeared. That water that we call rivers could literally disappear. That you could end up driving over a bridge named after a creek, and it'd be like going to a museum and seeing pictures of a group of people who used to live here. And that's the thing we wanted to prevent. We wanted to prevent people taking pictures of Gullah Geechees to hang in a museum to say that in years to come, they'll analyze and interpret us and say we used to be here. No, we want our children for still coming here and your grandchildren and things like that, and yet somebody cranky teeth like that and look just like you would do nothing. So in many years to come, I want your grandchildren and the great-grandchildren to come right here and look at me crazy like he doing now. Can still speak the language. Because they'll say, not that they used to be there. This is where the Gullah Geechees are. And that we're still here on these waterways. And that the waterways got turned around. The same way we've been trying to turn Joaquin around for the last couple of days. That the waterways got turned around. That those things that were polluting those waters got cleaned up. That those places where they said the oyster beds were closed are open. That these things have been replenished. And that our generation could go back now. And they could now put the same thing they've been now putting their evening back on Clarendon Plantation with Queen Quet and cracky teeth with them people in there. Okay? So that they could say, yes, we can now eat what they couldn't eat that night. Queen Quet spoke to them all them years ago. Because they took the time to do like our rivers do. They flowed. They flowed together. Smooth, gentle, pristine, in such a way that every creature wanted to come back and live there again. The crabs and the catfish and the oysters and the clams, the shrimp and all that. I know I'm making y'all more hungry than y'all on the buffet. What's he trying to do here? But that's how we live, that's how we eat, that's our culture, it's our tradition. There's never something for us to say that part of it's over here, and then we need to study this in isolation, because the other part they study, because that's something separate. And then this group studies something else, because to us the land, the water, that is us. So how do you take it apart and look at it? This is not high school. I'm not a fraud. You will not remove me from the formaldehyde and dissect me to get your grade. We have to realize when you're talking about a living, breathing culture that grew literally from this same soil, and our blood, sweat, and our tears is literally in it. We feel it pulsing. I know when I got here, Garrett was looking at me like, how she mean she just got here and she want to leave? Because the Spirit was telling me it's going to rain in the next 35 minutes. But that's just a Sea Island thing. We know city folks don't understand us a lot of times. But we literally flow with these tides. We can feel the energies as they move. We do better than the Weather Channel. We don't have all these. They say it's a prediction. Okay. We're spot on, as people say a lot of times. And so because of that, we wanted our voice heard in the scientific discussions of how climate science is altering our lifestyles. Some say climate change. Well, I'm a scientist. I'm a computer scientist and mathematician by degree. But however, for several years now, it was as if my ancestors, my father and them, saw to it I was going to get back in the creek. Because 5 years ago, I became a founding member of the Gullah Geechee Fishing Association. We started doing work with the Environmental Defense Fund, who came and asked me a question. How many Gullah Geechees are still out there actually fishing? Are there any African Americans still fishing on the coast? I thought the lady was crazy. I said, this lady, is she serious? Is somebody trying to pump me? Is Ashton Kutcher going to jump up? Is that a real question? I said, okay, I can't tell you, being a mathematician, the exact number, but are you seriously asking me if we still fish? When fresh fish to me means it arrives at my house with the gills still moving like this, and I know exactly who caught it, and whether he caught it with a cast net or he caught it with a rod or reel, and you ask me, are we still fishing? I said, lady, when don't we fish? She said, well, I need to talk to you because there's nothing written about Gullah Geechee fishing. There's nothing written about the African American population or the black population of people along the coast fishing. I said, now let's define fishing. You only catching fish, or you talking about shell fish too? What you talking about? She said, I mean all of it. I said, if you mean all of it, then we really do need. I said, you know what, where you at? I'm in Washington, D.C. Ah, wrong place. You need to come down here. Because I can show you better than I can tell you. And when I got her here, interestingly enough, it was a stormy night. It stormed that afternoon, and we would have a meeting at 6:30 that evening at what was Mather School, which was a missionary school founded here during the Reconstruction era. And we are 150 years since the Reconstruction era here in Beaufort County. And that is now the Technical College of the Low Country. I sat there all afternoon praying the rain would stop. I said, because I know my people, and if it's raining, come 6 o'clock, they ain't coming to that meeting all the way in Beaufort at 6:30. And at 6:30, we had over 60-something active Gullah Geechee fishermen in the room, which meant they each represented at least 5 people in their family who were currently actively shrimping, crabbing, picking oyster, and all that. And they brought me messages from the older ones who said they don't drive at night no more. Or it's that rain was earlier today, so I ain't know if she's still gonna have the meeting. If she having it, you tell me what happened and you let her know I'm with her now. Just come talk to me later. That kind of stuff. So I said, are you kidding? And I looked out in the audience and saw faces I hadn't seen in years. As I said to my mom, I said, I see a few people I thought the dad been in there. She said, I know, me too, right? I looked out and I saw my mother and I saw my Gracie and I saw some other ladies who used to go out with their fathers, shrimping and crabbing like I told you about. who are senior citizens now. But they thought it was important enough when they heard I was having this meeting to talk about the waterways to be there. So we've been in this storm for a long time, but survived it, thrived in it because of our faith, but also because of common sense and mothering. And so there's a lot that we now bring to the table in terms of what many conferences call traditional knowledge. And I've been invited to speak in many places because of that, and that's how Toyota Together Green with Audubon, and I was so happy to see the Audubon book inside the building, all right, gave me a grant several years ago now, 3-4 years ago, to launch the program called Gullah Geechee Sea and Me, Saving Environmental Actions and Marine Ecology. Many people in the Gullah Geechee Nation never break down the acronym. They don't need to. It's a C and me. And it's all a part of who we do. As you see, it says, we be Gullah Geechee anointed people. So I pray that tonight, the reason I was supposed to drive, I should have took my boat that came up here, drive down here, or drive up here, and then back out to the waters, because I live right along the water myself, was so that American rivers and American rivers and the Gullah Geechee Nation will begin to flow together. That in this case, it'll be all right to bring the river into the boat. See, we don't want that, no. Yeah. But so that we all get in the boat together and that we're able to really sail smoothly to a better future for all of us, for all of these waterways around America. And I've heard about this great report that I'm quoted in, and I can't wait to see the final draft. I've heard that there's a draft out, and so I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I'm very pleased that you all included myself and my people in it, and that you now know we truly exist. Now, Hunter Chilling can go home and say, yeah, but truth they did it, because I'm not saying that all good. You can go home and say, yeah, the Gullah Geechees are still alive and well, because I didn't understand them at all. They're real people, they have a real language, because we sure didn't know it. You can go back and say, you saw the real deal, all right, in person. And so I thank you all for the invitation and for being here. And before I run out or anything on you, we do have books, but as I mentioned, there's gullahgeechee.biz. You can always order them on there. And the cards, did everybody get those cards we had that were on the table? No, they're still there. All right. So here is some literature. You can take one of each and pass it around. And then if there's not enough, we have some more, and we'll pass them around to everyone, because it looks like there's more people in here than they might have told me initially. But our website at gullahgeecheenation.com, you can always follow my blog on there, and you can also get in touch with me through Queen Quet, QUET.com. And if you're social media people, tweet me at Gullah Geechee, okay? Or follow us on Instagram at Gullah Geechee, or Gullah Geechee Nation on Facebook. And daily we post things about what's going on, including the rising tides. And we do believe, like many others, that the rising tide lifts all boats. So we pray tonight that we all are lifted together. So I'll take any questions for a few minutes anybody might have before we let y'all go ahead and pounce on the rest of your food.
So you mentioned 60 people and 5 others. How many, what is the size of the nation?
Oh boy, okay.
Approximately.
You owe me $1.
Okay.
Literally. Because I said to someone last week, I said, okay, every time someone asks me this question, I said, I need to charge $1 because I know I will end up with $1 million. I said, so I'm going to start next year. He said, no, you're going to start today. And he pulled $1 out. And he said, so Queen, from now on, you have, and the person who asked you that, always give $1. So I'm wanting my $1.
It's in my room.
Cash. And I don't take credit cards. Okay, see? Good work. Thank you. Now you get to that. Go back into the work. So now, as a mathematician, I always give this caveat. The numbers that said that there was some 500,000 Gullah Geechees that lived here about 15 years ago, they did that estimate, were done by socio-anthropologists looking at census reports. Gullah Geechees largely don't fill out census reports. That's number one. Number two, Beaufort County itself has messed up the census since then and left out entire swaths of areas. Never counted us at all. When I went back and looked at the data pool they used, I saw they had a minimum of a 50% margin of error. Okay? So you're talking about, they said there were 500,000, there were at least 750,000. And that was only Carolina and Georgia Sea Islands. Didn't count the 30 to 35 miles into the mainland to the St. Johns River, okay? And didn't count Jacksonville, North Carolina area, and didn't count Jacksonville, Florida area. So I always say to people with that in mind, there's a minimum of 1 million Gullah Geechees that still live here along the coast. That doesn't count the ones in the military and the cities and wherever else around the world. So when you start looking at who is still doing the work in the waterways, I have now, since the meeting that I mentioned that happened in the storm, I have met about 300 Gullah Geechee, what I call fishing families, that are still between Jacksonville and Jacksonville. Now, many of them have altered what they do. Some of them have to covertly fish. That's a whole nother topic, okay, because of DNR stuff and all of this. But many of them have adapted their skills. So where they used to sew nets for casting and for strip boats, they make sports nets in Florida, things like this. But if we need to go get food, they're the ones you follow to the creek. Okay? So it's been very interesting that these are the ones still alive, still doing it. And then I've met other families who, their family weren't fishing families like mine. So 2 to 3 generations later, no one knows how to go get their food. They know how to eat it if you go get it. But they can't go out there and get it. They know where to go because they remember where the family used to go.
Was the fishing culture created here? Does it have roots in the old country? In some
It has
place?
roots in Africa. Has roots in Africa.
Any particular country or area?
Well, most of what you call the Windward Coast, Rice Coast region, and most of the places where the enslavement castles were on the west coast of Africa were right on the water. So most of the Senegambia region and the people of Sierra Leone, Liberia, they're fishing people anyway. And even to this moment, to this day, in Gambia, that's the major part of the industry there. And so that is a continuation. It's really an African continuation. And when you look at one of our nets sewn here, look at a net sewn in West Africa, you really can't tell the difference until you maybe look close up. Like a lot of our men now use modern day bullets. My father used to make his. But a lot of them will go get the old bullet, talk about recycling. They'll go to the creek, and if they find somebody left one of their little nylon cast nets behind, they take them home. And they take those bullets off, so that when they sew a new cast net, somebody can reuse them. Yeah, so you'll notice little nuances, or they don't use real bullhorn to make the top part of the net anymore. We still call it the horn. Yeah, so those kinds of things. It's been a wonderful journey for me. Yeah, with that reconnection. Great question. That cost you more than $1, though. What's your name?
Alex.
Alex, okay. I can't forget that. I have a niece that has the name Alexis, so you're in trouble now. I'll bill you by PayPal. Any other questions? No? Alex asked the one for everybody? Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to cost me or not. So,
Yeah. I should just charge for every question.
what do you think, what can we do? What's the most important thing that people who care about rivers can do to put it all in change?
The most important thing would be to engage with us and learn some of the things that we have been able to do here for over 400 years that have had minor impacts to these waterways, to these marsh fronts, because that's been the biggest problem. When we show up to planning meetings, people ignore us because they'll say, oh, they're not scientists, those are emotional natives. Now, 20 years later, they want the emotional native. Where's that lady? The one that told us we shouldn't build that day on the park. Right, because this emotional lady just happened to be an Ivy League grad. Love you. Okay, so that's the kind of thing that we need, is we need to be engaged in these kind of meetings and things, not after the fact, not like we get the report in the mail, but have us in the room so that we can add input to some of these things and really look at how we can sustain our coast and the waters. add on
I'll
to
just,
that? Yes,
I'll just
go
say
ahead.
that this is my family's house, and it's a
This is yours.
it's a great pleasure to have you here, and it's really meaningful to hear about things that go back a long way.
Oh,
and
yes.
have roots. And so I would have come and shaken your hand. I heard you don't like to shake hands,
This
but
is what you
but,
do. You always greet
but do you hug?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's your what? Great-grand-uncle, great-granddad?
My grandmother bought the house.
No, inside the house. The man on the-
Great-grandfather, yeah.
Great-grandfather.
Yes.
All right, wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful to meet you.
Nice to have you here.
Yeah, so I
Thank you.
should charge you a whole lot. What I do, Alex, is I charge you a
That's
boat ride on a
right.
nice sunny day
I
out.
like that.
We can do that,
Thank
right?
you. Yes.
That'll be great. Do you live around here still?
I live in Atlanta, but I'm here all the time.
Oh, and I'm back and forth to Atlanta, so you and I
Yes.
should connect.
Yes,
That'll be
excellent.
wonderful, and we can engage some more. And, oh, thank you so much for that introduction and everything. And one of the things that I definitely would love to have happen, and was hoping would happen after Janae and I met this past summer, is with Gullah Geechee seeing me, and like you all know this very well, when something is done as a fellowship, it's done for a limited period of time, and then that's over. And so one of the things that we've been doing is we've been keeping the program going, but with just these little dollars that come from supporters that want to engage with our community and actually get out here with us, helping children learn these techniques and helping us to rebuild oyster beds and other things along this coast. So we are constantly looking for additional financial supporters as well as partners for our Gullah Geechee See and Me programs, Gullah Geechee Family Days. So we have them throughout the year, and we have a number of things going on now with U.S. Fish and Wildlife and U.S. Department of Natural Resources, as well as the National Wildlife Refuge System. So if we can also engage American Rivers, we'd love to. So we'd love to add y'all in. And then we can get a big old boat, right, Alan?
That's right.
And go on. So it'd be
Queen
wonderful.
Quet, thank you so much for being here, for sharing your heritage with us, for sharing your stories with us, for inspiring us. We truly appreciate it as a memento of your evening here.
Oh,
It's
yes.
a wonderful book about the
Edisto
Edisto
River. I don't know if you knew that I worked on the Edisto Scenic Byway
I did not.
nomination. Yes, I did. And so when we got it, I was so proud. And everybody on Edisto was always like, Queen Quet belongs to us. So I'm going to have to definitely Instagram this picture. Edisto River book, this is so apropos. Thank you so much.
Thank you
This
very
is
much.
wonderful.
Thank you.
So you get a hug too.